Today we will be dividing polynomials using long division. This will be a guided practice video. This is TEKS from Algebra 2.7c. Okay, so here we're going to divide polynomials using the long division. So first we have to make sure that we check what our first degree is. Our first degree is x cubed. We want to make sure that if we have an x cubed, that we have an x squared, that we have an x, and then we have a constant. If we don't have descending order, then we must put a 0 in place of it. In this case, we have no zeros. So we're going to go ahead and write our dividend, which is our numerator, inside. And then we're going to write our divisor, which is our denominator, outside. So there's three very important rules that we're going to do, and we're going to repeat them until we finish the problem. So first we're going to start off by dividing. So step 1 is going to be divide. Step 2 is going to be multiply. And step 3 is going to be subtract, and we are going to subtract in the problem. So following those three. So first we're going to divide. We divide the first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor. So step number 1 is 2x cubed divided by 2x. When you divide those, you get x squared. Step number 1 always gives you part of your quotient, which is your answer. Step 2. We take the number we just found and we multiply it by everything on the outside. We distribute and get 2x cubed plus 3x squared. So 2x cubed plus 3x squared. But step 3 is subtract. So what's going to happen here is that I am going to change both those terms. So what I'll do is I'll put parentheses and put a negative. And so I'll distribute and change it to a negative and change this to a negative, and then that's a positive. Your first term always should cancel out. If it doesn't cancel out, you did something wrong. So now you have 7 minus 3. 7 minus 3 is 4x squared. And bring down your next term. And you are going to repeat this process. We're going to take our first term and still divide it by our first term here. So step 1 is going to be 4x squared divided by 2x, and you get 2x. Again, step 1 always gives you part of your answer. Then step 2. You take the 2x you just found and you multiply it by everything on the outside. You get 4x squared plus 6x. So we write 4x squared plus 6x. But step 3 is subtract. So parentheses and minus, I'm going to subtract everything there. Which means if I distribute the negative, this changes to a negative, and this changes to a negative. The first term should cancel out because 4x squared minus 4x squared is 0x squared. So 2 minus 6 is going to be negative 4x. And we start the process all over again. Okay? So the process is divide. I'm going to divide the first term by the first term outside. So negative 4x divided by 2x is going to be equal to negative 2. Negative 2. Then we multiply. We take the negative 2 and we multiply it by 2x plus 3. And we get negative 4x minus 6. Okay, so we get negative 4x minus 6, but we subtract, which means we're going to change both the signs. First term should cancel, and I'm left with 9 plus 6. This is my remainder. So my remainder is 15 over my divisor. This is your final answer. So because there's a remainder, the question down here is it a linear factor? The answer is no. If there's a remainder, this is not a linear factor. Okay, now rewind this video if you have to listen to the steps again. I want you to go now and pause this video here, and I want you to try working this problem on your own. I will help you go ahead and get started. We look at x to the 4th, x to the 3rd. Oh, I don't have an x squared. I don't have an x. So when I work these out, I need to put zeros in place of those. So I have x to the 4th minus 2x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x plus 5 divided by x plus 3. Go ahead and pause this video and try working it out. Okay, I know this was a little bit longer. Let's see how you did here. Here is my final answer. You can pause this video to check that everything I did in blue was divide, and every time I divide, that's part of my answer. Okay, so again, every time you divide, it's part of your answer, and I did highlight the numbers that I was dividing by the number on the outside. And don't forget that when you're subtracting, what I wrote in black here was you change the signs, and then really you're just 15 minus 15, negative 45 plus 45. Okay, so here's your final answer. If you want to look at the work that's shown, go ahead and check this out. We have 2 more practice questions that we're going to do together. So first I want us to look at this one and check if I have any missing terms. I have x cubed, x squared, x, and then the number. So I have no missing terms. And this time we're dividing by a quadratic, but everything is going to still work exactly the same way. So go ahead and show your work. I want you to show that you divide, you multiply, you subtract, okay? Go ahead and pause this video here and try working it out. Okay, even though I told you to pause it, if you are working on it and you got stuck, here's the first step, okay? So now the next time I unpause it, you are gonna see the answer. So make sure you started off this problem correctly. Okay guys, I know this problem looked ugly to begin with, but actually it's one of our easier problems. So whenever we divide by x squared, it's going to take our number down really, really quickly because x cubed divided by x squared is just x. So notice that we ended up with just x. So instead of having to work all the way down, we started with just x. Don't forget it's going to be x number remainder, okay? And this had no remainder because every term added to 0, okay? So in blue I divided, and don't forget when you divide, that is part of your answer. Okay, our last question of the day. Again, we begin by looking if we have any missing terms. X cubed, x squared, x, and a constant. We have no missing terms. So go ahead and try this problem by long division. What is the first answer you get? What is the first part of your answer? I want you to think about that. Okay, go ahead and check your work here. Remember that anything I did in blue, it was the division. Always the first term divided by the first term, okay? And every time you divide, you put that as part of your answer, except for the last part, which is your remainder. Hopefully this video helped you practice doing long division.